It was obvious they need some sort of theater to justify bringing student loan debt back, because there's a lot of political pressure against Biden for doing this. And now young people are going to continue to be crushed. You're going to have families continue to be plunged into poverty. This is Bloomberg.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Go ahead,
But
Jimmy.
the greatest magic trick that the Democratic Party pulled off was completely erasing a majority of the party that wanted to overthrow it, right?
Yeah.
And so when Bernie Sanders ran, he won that primary, right? Or came very close and should have, and he was winning primaries and 55% of the vote, and then she would win the primary because of the super delegates and shit like that.
Right.
And then the news were reported as if she won. Man, Joe Scarborough went on that famous rant about why they even have voting booths. What's the point of this, right? So the greatest magic trick was getting those people who were in the majority to take over the Democratic Party for sure in the next election, right? They were just all gone. Nobody ever even talks about that anymore. They just, because Bernie Sanders tucked his tail, he got scared. Whatever they did to threaten him, it worked. Yeah. And he completely abandoned his own movement. Again, just like Barack Obama did when he got elected, they abandoned their own youth movement. They asked them to do nothing ever. And then he just folded them back into an anti-worker, pro-war party, and then they had complete control of government for 2 years, and nobody, even the YouTube left, nobody tried to push that goddamn the Democratic Party to the left to do anything that even Joe Biden ran on. A fucking conservative maniac like Joe Biden ran on the minimum wage. He ran on those $2,000 checks. He ran on a public option. They didn't make him even do the things he ran on. That's how bad it is. Let alone pull him to the left. They all went to the right. It's unbelievable. And still. So that's to me the greatest magic trick the Democrats have figured out how to pull off. They just erased all those people, and they all became like, oh well, I'm not vote blue no matter who, but sometimes I'll vote in an inconsequential way for a third party person, so it all went away. The rage people had for the Democrats and Republicans serving the same donor class, they didn't even get rid of. Bernie didn't even make them get rid of super delegates. He didn't even make them get rid of the donor class. He didn't make them get rid of taking fossil fuel money. They do everything. And so that's why we're left's talking about bathrooms and gender affirming care and fucking drag shows and bullshit like this that only 0.5% of the population even participates in. And so that because they don't want to talk about the economic issues, the whole reason why we're talking about all this other stuff instead. Chomsky taught us that distraction is the best way to undermine democracy. And that's what all this is because the Democrats and the Republicans serve the exact same people. We get even worse policy now with the Democrats. Do you think there would be a little bit of outrage if it was Donald Trump crushing that railroad union strike?
Absolutely.
There was zero because Joe Biden was doing it, just like because when Barack Obama kicked 5.1 million people out of their home, families, not people, families out of their homes, while he made sure the bankers kept their bonuses, there was no outrage because you thought that this guy was on your side because he was black. And of course he wasn't. He was the biggest puppet that Wall Street ever had. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks revealed that his entire cabinet came from Citibank. And I thought that half the party had woken up to this fact, but all it took was Donald Trump to make everybody go back to sleep, and then calling people like us, all the names they call us.
I said before, we made a miscalculation because we thought the Bernie movement was bigger than it actually was, meaning people that actually wanted to challenge the Democratic Party. We actually thought it was a movement. No, it was a bunch of liberals and Democrats who wanted healthcare. That's exactly what it was. And I was preaching on my channel, there needs to be way more anger at Bernie Sanders. The level of anger that we have for Bernie should be very commonplace. Because imagine if Bernie Sanders or any progressive endorsed Donald Trump. No, what do I mean by that? Joe Biden funds ICE more than Donald Trump. Joe Biden funds Israel more than Donald Trump. Joe Biden took COVID relief fund and gave it to the police. Woe Biden doubled down on everything Trump has done. So imagine the outrage, Jimmy. Imagine if you or anyone endorsed Donald Trump. There would be massive hatred for you. Biden, and there's not hatred for him for that. Right, Jimmy.
And it turns out they didn't want it. They didn't even dare try to repeal Donald Trump's tax cuts. They had complete control of government. for fucking 2 years. And why didn't they repeal that time? I said that that's the whole crazy thing. Donald Trump didn't legislate any differently than most other fucking Republicans and other Democrats. The only thing he did is he didn't warmonger as much as other people did, and he was much more crude in his language with shit. Right? Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were the ones who started scapegoating Mexican immigrants for our problems. You ever see those videos from C-SPAN? It's gross, man. This shit he used to say from the fucking White House.